spots also available. The two best group runners-up will advance to the Interconfederation playoffs next March for a final chance at qualifying. So even though there are more spots available to CONCACAF this cycle than ever before due to that expanded World Cup field, and even though the United States and Mexico and Canada aren't involved because they're automatically qualified already, of course, there's still very little margin for error in this final group stage, and especially in this Group A, where Panama are the clear favorites coming in, although having been held to a draw earlier tonight, again, that presents a big opportunity to these two sides. 6 total round-robin games over 3 international windows over the next 2 months. It's a sprint now to the finish. Each team in the group plays each other home and away. And while tonight is just the first of those 6 qualifying games, if you get off to a bad start, it quickly becomes difficult to make up that ground and keep your World Cup dreams alive. And for Guatemala, that would be a national trauma for a nation that has suffered many of them in qualifying campaigns past. You see the spirit in the stands. It's high right now. They've never had a better opportunity to finally get to the promised land, but despite a great showing at the Gold Cup this summer where they finished 3rd, the build-up to this game has remained nervous in the national media. And you wonder how that will translate to the atmosphere in the Estadio Cementos Progreso tonight. It's great right now. If they don't get off to a good start in this game, it could turn. El Salvador, meanwhile, don't have that level of emotional baggage, as their nation has reached the World Cup twice in 1970 and 1982. But there is a similar yearning to return to the biggest stage after so many years. It'll be 44 years, of course, since their last World Cup appearance by the time 2026 rolls around. But led by Hernan Dario Gomez, who's one of just a small handful of coaches to guide 3 different nations to the World Cup, there is cautious optimism that he could make it 4 and become a hero in El Salvador. But after a disappointing Gold Cup where they went out in the group stage and struggled to create chances, there's an acknowledgement that they don't have the kind of individual skill that El Salvador once possessed. They'll have to rely on collective solidity to grind out results in these crunch games. And he has named a fairly defensive lineup for this away match here tonight. But of course, the beauty of World Cup qualifying is that once you reach this final round, just a handful of key moments going your way can put you on the brink of glory. While they've drawn a tough and hostile away match in their opening game, if they could get a result here tonight, they're then home on Monday against Suriname, and those dreams and that confidence would suddenly grow even larger. You saw the Guatemalan head coach walking out to his technical area there, Luis Fernando Tena, a man who was brought in back in 2021 for a multi-year build-out to try to lead Guatemala to the World Cup in 2026. They already had been knocked out of qualifying in that cycle for 2022 when he arrived. Very respected Mexican manager, led Mexico to a gold medal back in 2012 in the London Olympics. And if he could lead Guatemala to a World Cup, it would likely rank as his greatest achievement in his long and distinguished coaching career. Plenty of El Salvador fans have made the journey over wearing their distinctive blue kits, as their team will tonight. Guatemala, though, in front of their home fans, will feel that 3 points are a must, especially since their next 3 matches in qualifying are all away from home in this final group phase. They won't be back home until the final 2 games of this qualifying stage, and of course by then, if they don't take some points early on, they could be in desperate straits by the time they return here to the Estadio Cementos Progreso. So anything less than 3 points here would be seen as a disappointment this evening and would put those World Cup dreams, those very tender and slender and tenuous World Cup dreams that have never come true for them in the past, would put all of that in doubt yet again. An early goal would certainly do wonders for them tonight. And El Salvador likely are going to try to sit in and frustrate for as long as possible. Frustrate this home crowd as much as possible. They will hope to turn the mood sour and frustrate and hit on the counterattack, and they have players up top who are capable of doing that. And of course, if Guatemala could find a way to grab an early lead, the roof will come off this place and the atmosphere would ratchet up that much further. This is a qualifying process that began a couple years ago and is now going to reach its climax over the next 2 months. By about mid-November, we will know those 3 automatic qualifiers, or those 3 group winners who punch their direct ticket to the World Cup. And we'll know the 2 additional CONCACAF participants in that Interconfederation playoff to be played next March. So there's the potential for CONCACAF to have as many as 8 teams, 8 nations in this World Cup. They will certainly have a minimum of 6. And here come these 2 out onto the pitch, both dreaming of being one of those CONCACAF nations at the FIFA World Cup in the United States and Canada and Mexico next summer. And in order to do that, points are likely required here tonight. Don't want to dig yourself a hole in qualifying. Guatemala wearing their white kits with the navy blue sash here at home tonight. El Salvador in their blue kits. These are the moments walking out onto the pitch before a crucial World Cup qualifier that you dream about, that you envision. Playing in your backyard, playing out on the street as a kid, playing with your friends, and now they get to live it. We will hear the national anthems of these 2 nations, and then we'll see the starting 11s and kickoff. It is Guatemala and El Salvador on the road to FIFA World Cup 2026, and it is next.
Entonamos ahora el himno nacional de El Salvador. Entonamos ahora el himno nacional de Guatemala.
Whether you have a rooting interest in this game, if you have a pulse, it should be racing by now. Guatemala, El Salvador in World Cup qualifying, the final stage of Concacaf qualifying, kicking off tonight. Both these sides desperate to begin well in the first of 6 matches in this final qualifying stage. These two drawn together in Group A. And Guatemala in their white kits with the navy blue sash. Here's the starting 11 for them for this one here tonight. Nicholas Hagen, their very experienced goalkeeper, plays for Columbus Crew in Major League Soccer. A back four of Morales Samayoa, the captain, Jose Pinto, who's a legend. Aaron Herrera has been a star in Major League Soccer for a number of years. Olher Escobar, a very bright young talent at just 18 years old. He shined at the Gold Cup this summer, along with the rest of his team, as they finished a surprising 3rd place and pushed the U.S. all the way in the semifinal. Our match officials led by center referee Juan Gabriel Calderon of Costa Rica, assisted by Juan Carlos Mora and William Arrieta. Stephen Madrigal is the 4th official, the entire quartet from Costa Rica. Captains meeting in midfield, Jose Pinto, the long-serving captain for Guatemala. Henry Romero wearing the armband for El Salvador. Here's the VAR room for tonight, led by Jesus Montero, also of Costa Rica. Jorge Camacho, the assistant ref VAR from Mexico. In a 0-0 draw earlier tonight between Suriname and Panama, handing these two a big opportunity. And El Salvador playing away from home. Start Mario Gonzalez in goal once again. Henry Romero, their captain, as mentioned. Julio Cibrian. Valladares plays on the right. Landaverde in the middle of midfield. Brian Gill will play up top, as this is a team set up to frustrate by head coach Hernan Gomez, hoping to keep things tight early on and see if they can hit Guatemala on the counter. There is Luis Tena, hoping to add to his credentials as a head coach by leading Guatemala to a World Cup for the first time in their nation's history. Nicholas Hagen has made so many big saves for them over the last handful of years. Hernan Gomez and his coaching staff. Gomez never shy in front of a camera, always quotable, and has led 3 different nations to a World Cup, hoping to make it 4 over the next couple months. The first handful of minutes so critical for Guatemala. They want to get this big crowd in the game and energized as soon as possible. Want to keep them on their side. And there's so much anxiety in this nation over whether they can finally reach a World Cup for the first time. They've been disappointed so many times over the years, over the generations. Juan Calderon checking his watch. It is time. We are rolling in Guatemala City in the final stage of World Cup qualifying. Will Guatemala take a step toward finally exercising their qualifying demons? Or will El Salvador take a big step toward returning to the big dance? Luis Tena, always very calm on the touchline. He'll need that calmness tonight and over the next couple months. Early attacks from El Salvador on the front foot as this is spinning toward Nicholas Hagen, who's able to calm things down. Hernan Gomez has coached a number of clubs in South America, along with his national team coaching credentials. This will be a throw for El Salvador. Guatemala winning a ball in that attacking third. That's the kind of thing they want to do. Press high, create that pressure. Jefferson Valladares taking this throw for them. Hear the shouts anytime there's any contact Home fans baying for fouls and whistles. Here come El Salvador, though. And El Salvador expected to be patient. Draw would be a decent result for them tonight. They'll be at home on Monday against Suriname. That's where they'll be feeling 3 points are imperative. Primarily want to avoid defeat tonight. They have a chance to open the scoring down this right side. Here comes Valladares, who's crossed in front, stabbed, and then set wide and high, and a good opportunity for Steven Vasquez, who took it first time and couldn't control it. Vasquez ends up slicing across this. Plenty of power, but not the direction. El Salvador have looked more dangerous over the first 2 minutes. El Salvador scraped through the second qualifying round. They needed a draw in their last game in that round back in early June against Suriname. Fell behind early in that game, actually. That was at home in their national stadium in San Salvador. Talk about an anxious crowd. That was a nearly poisonous atmosphere for a handful of minutes while they trailed. They equalized just before halftime, hung on for a draw in the second half that got them through. Some of the public in El Salvador were not too impressed with the way they qualified, even though they did. Hernan Gomez has made the point that in qualifying, it doesn't always matter how well you play. It's points that qualify you for the World Cup. He would know, having done it multiple times before. First time there's space in the midfield for Guatemala. Slip between the lines and then hit from distance by Oscar Santis, who's been red hot for them this year. Scored a hat trick here against the Dominican Republic back in June. Free kick for El Salvador, though. Santis called for the foul. El Salvador have not won on Guatemalan soil in 25 years. As you can see, mentioned it briefly in the open, this is a synthetic surface, synthetic turf here in Guatemala City. It's a fast surface, can be bouncy as well. Towering header there. El Salvador picking up the second ball for a moment. Salvadoran team, though, over the last week, even before they departed for Guatemala, as this will be a free kick for the home side. Before they left for Guatemala City, El Salvador spent time training on artificial pitches over the last week to try to acclimate to how this surface would play. Steven Robles on that turf for Guatemala. Made about 40 appearances for Guatemala. He's become a regular for them the last couple years. Appears to have a problem. See him grabbing at that left ankle area. You never want to have to make a change this early in a game, especially one as important as this. Not only would force Guatemala to change their tactics already in this game, also, of course, limits your options off the bench later on if you need to change something. And that's exactly what Luis Tena is discussing with his staff. Hernan Gomez, regarded as a master of mind games in the media. He's been at work in the build-up to this match, too. He pointed out that he just took over El Salvador earlier this year. He said Guatemala's been working for 3 years. We've had 6 months of work, but tomorrow that won't count. Training staff appears to be giving the thumbs up to the bench. You can hear the crowd respond to that. Although watching Robles limp like that, well, he'll hope and they'll hope that he can walk that off and get back up to speed. That doesn't look great. Robles, like most of this Guatemalan team, plays his club soccer in the Guatemalan domestic league. They have a handful of players playing in the United States and a couple other countries. It has been a point of emphasis for them over the last few years, getting more players to go abroad, but sometimes easier said than done. Salvador thought they should have had that throw. It's Guatemala's instead, and they look to go quickly. It's toward the end line, but just a bit too much on it. Rudy Munoz chasing it, but ran out of room. Guatemala's most glorious moment in their national team history came back in 1967 when they won the old Concacaf Championship, predecessor to the modern-day Gold Cup. They still talk about that 67 team very fondly here. Again this summer, finishing third at the Gold Cup, getting to the semifinals for the first time in almost 30 years. Came so close to equalizing late on in that semifinal against the United States. Such a great showing by them. They're always underdogs at tournaments like the Gold Cup, but it's such great support at all those stadiums in the U.S. And here come El Salvador, though, crossed into the area and a good chance. Skimming off the top of the head of Brian Gill. And Robles is down again. And you have to wonder if he's going to be able to continue, because it looks like he's grabbing at that same ankle. Here's the chance for Gill, who got up pretty well above Nicolas Samayoa. Well, Robles continuing for now. Held up by Rubio Rubin. He's become a star figure for Guatemala over the last few years. Played in Major League Soccer, of course. He's currently playing in the U.S. in the USL with Charleston Battery. Born in Oregon, played for the U.S. youth national teams. Santis, I think that was supposed to be a cross. It's straight into the hands of Mario Gonzalez. He's been the #1 keeper for El Salvador for a number of years now. 10 minutes on the clock. Guatemala, El Salvador, 0-0. First game of this final round of World Cup qualifying. Each of these 12 remaining CONCACAF teams playing 2 games in this international window, 2 more in October, 2 more in November to decide those 3 group winners, those 3 automatic qualifying spots to the World Cup next summer. Finish top of your group, you're going. 2 of the best second-place finishers in those 3 groups will qualify for that Interconfederation playoff next spring. Here's a right-footed effort from distance. Pulled wide by Steven Vasquez, who's had a couple looks early on. And it looks like Guatemala are getting ready to make that change. I think Robles is going to have to come off. Appeared to be Oscar Castellanos, who's getting set to come on. Also, the center referee, Juan Calderon, has an issue too. So we are getting word that Castellanos is set to come on for Robles. Robles looks like he still wants to stay on and keep trying, but I think the decision's already been made by the coaching staff. That's the word we're getting from the touchline. Well, that early exuberance, you can hear it already starting to settle a bit. That's exactly what El Salvador wanted to do. And delays like this don't really help Guatemala. Not that it's the fault of the officials, of course. You have to be able to communicate, especially in an atmosphere like this. Officials on the field, the officials in the VAR room, they all have to be able to hear each other. Hernan Gomez said this week, if people say we're Cinderella, let them say it. We have to prove we're a monster. And he's very good at that kind of thing, mastering the press and the build up to a game. And to help El Salvador any way he can on the mental side. He's really played up their underdog status in this qualifying round. Again, they're the side that's been to a World Cup, two of them in fact, 1970 and 1982. So the generational frustration at not making a World Cup, not quite as great in El Salvador, but there's still a deep yearning to get back. That for them would be the first time in 44 years. Guatemala not making that change just yet. Castellanos is ready. Robles has not come off to this point. Santis dispossessed. Good touch right through the midfield. Might open things up for El Salvador. They try to go long for Brian Gill. It was mopped up by Jose Pinto, the captain for Guatemala. Now Aaron Herrera, good ball inside. They have numbers in the attack here, but then a heavy touch from Olher Escobar. And the attack breaks down. Robles starting to look better. Let's see if he's allowed to stay in. Herrera will take this throw. So the Guatemalan coaching staff and Luis Tena might be reconsidering that substitution. The Si Se Puede chant rising again around this stadium. Attacking throw for Guatemala, nearly 15 minutes gone. Flip toward the top of the area, and there's space for a moment for Santis, trying to take it down off the chest and have a shot. First touch, just a little bit too far in front of him. Santis named to the Gold Cup Best 11 this summer. Key figure in that deep run that Guatemala were able to make. He will take this first corner of the night. And he takes it short to Escobar. Trying to return it to Santis. Instead, it runs through. And the cross is wasteful. Now giving El Salvador players an earful anytime they take time over a free kick or a throw-in. That's not going to deter them, though. As long as this game stays 0-0, they'll keep doing that. Mentioned in the open, Guatemala after this game starting this group phase, this final group phase at home, they have to play their next 3 all on the road. So it makes it even more critical for them to win and take maximum points tonight. They would not be satisfied with a draw at all. By the time they come back here for the final 2 matches of this final qualifying round, if things don't go well, they could effectively be dead and buried already. Cross-field ball took a kind deflection for El Salvador. Trying to steer it back to his keeper was Julio Cibrian. Put his team in trouble instead, and they concede the throw. Quickly from Santis. Munoz, good spin, pulls it into the area. Left-footed effort, nearly ran across to the back post where a man was all in space for Guatemala. Didn't quite reach, though, thanks to the crucial tackle from Julio Cibrian. Totally onside, too. They completely lost that man at the back post there, El Salvador. They're lucky to get away with that. Guatemala trying to build some momentum now in the attack. Jose Morales, their left back. Nicolas Samoyoa, one of the center backs. Become a regular starter on that back line for them the last couple of years. Guatemala trying to be patient with their possession. Don't want to force it and turn the ball over, especially in the middle of the park where you leave yourself vulnerable to those counterattacks. Those are the kind of things El Salvador is sniffing for on a night like this. This will be a Guatemalan throw, and they want the ball quickly. Crowd and the Guatemalan team frustrated that that ball wasn't returned right away so that they could take that throw in immediately. Now they give away the free kick. Julio Cibrian, one of those center backs for El Salvador. Very good at pressuring strikers, denying them space, not allowing them to get turned on the ball toward goal. That's why he's in there. He's using his dark arts here to take more time. See Juan Calderon pointing to his watch, saying, I'm watching that. I'm going to add that time back on. 20 minutes gone. El Salvador doing generally what they want to do so far. Frustrating Guatemala to this point. Had a couple half chances of their own as well. They've arguably had the better moments in attack. Some numbers though for Guatemala. Bit of space through the midfield. Probably needed to move it quicker there though. El Salvador able to get back in their banks of defense. Santis lifting in that high cross. Good work on the ball. Morales, Santis. Santis, driven ball right through and then touched wide. Mario Gonzalez got a fingertip to it. Not intended to be a shot. Could have worked out perfectly for Guatemala. Might have been curling just wide. Gonzalez couldn't take a chance. It's a terrific cross from Santis. He was aiming for the head of Rubio Rubin, who was making that run. It's a good leave by Henry Romero, the center back. If you stick out your foot there, that so easily can turn into an own goal. Smartly pulled the foot out of the way. It is a corner for Guatemala. Their second. Santis takes. Outswinging ball. Free headers over the bar. Good chance for Morales, who was totally unmarked and couldn't put it on frame. And on tense nights like this, those are the moments that you so badly want to capitalize on. You don't get many of them. And they're the moments that sometimes define your legacy, your team's legacy, your nation's legacy on this stage. Whether you get to a World Cup and create all those memories for yourselves, your teammates, your nation, or not. You wonder about that mindset for Guatemala on nights like this. The longer a game goes on at 0-0. So we're midway through the first half. Maybe the first card of the night for that challenge. Juan Calderon producing yellow. Olher Escobar was hacked down. It is a cynical challenge from Jorge Cruz, who goes into the book in the 23rd minute. Way late, nowhere near the ball. Can't have any complaints about the yellow. Guatemala trying to press, and they win it back. What can they do with it? Couldn't beat the first man. It's good energy flying around. Rudy Munoz, he's just 20 years old. He does it again. Santis, Munoz. Able to give his team a spark in that sequence. Well, if you don't speak Spanish, I'm not going to tell you what the Guatemalan crowd is chanting. But it's something. First card shown to their side tonight. Nicolas Samayoa into the book in the 25th minute. Samayoa penalized with the caution for that foul. Over 30 appearances for the national team now. So he and Jorge Cruz both in the book, 25 minutes in. Well, here comes that change for Guatemala that they first were indicating they were going to make 15 minutes ago, and it is Robles who does now make way. So he gave it his best shot. Stayed on as long as he could. Tried to run it off. Just couldn't quite make it happen. And so Castellanos takes his place. Well, this is where we think it initially happened, and you can see why. Had that ankle stood on, turned awkwardly. It's a pretty like-for-like substitution. Castellanos, who just came on, also a defensive midfielder. He'll shield that back line. El Salvador had space there to create a counter. They didn't connect the next ball. Now they connect on the right side of midfield. Jefferson Valladares. Jorge Cruz. Miscommunication. That appeared to go out of play. It did. It's a throw for Guatemala. Jose Morales probably having the best chance for Guatemala so far. That free header from a corner a few minutes ago. Ball down the right side. Can they keep it in play? They can. No. Now Herrera has it run out. Well, he got there initially, then took his eye off it, and it kept spinning. And that'll happen on this artificial turf. It is a faster surface. That first touch was okay, but it continued across that touch line once he looked up to try to deliver the cross. Lots to think about already for Luis Fernando Tena. Again, he led Mexico to the gold medal in the 2012 Olympic Games. That's his most notable achievement as a head coach. He's been very well respected for a long time, 67 years old now. He's been at the helm of this Guatemalan program since 2021. Once they went out of qualifying for the 2022 World Cup, he was appointed to lead the long road to 2026, and it's led them to this final qualifying round. Desperately hope it will lead them to the big dance for the first time ever. Depends on nights like this, and they're having to defend this cross from El Salvador. Santis claiming a handball. Play continues though. So Santis goes after it himself, then claims a boot to the face, and this time gets the call. And the card as well for Rafael Tejada. So 2 players booked now for El Salvador, 1 for Guatemala. Cibrian. Morales gets it back with 2 blue shirts around him. Earns a throw with 30 minutes on the clock. Final 15 now the first half. Guatemalan fans doing their part. They need their team to find a breakthrough. Accelerated by Pinto. Turned inside by Munoz. Herrera. Castellanos. Escobar. Come up through the Guatemalan youth national teams over the last few years. He's been a star at those lower levels. Still just 18 years old. This runs through now for Rubio Rubin. Rubin crossing into the middle, might reach Santis, takes an awkward bounce. Goalkeeper able to rise and claim eventually. Mario Gonzalez was uncertain for a moment. Now a free kick for Guatemala. Gil all over the ankles of Nicolas Samayoa. Once, twice, 3 times. Those are those little moments as the game goes on at 0-0. Those misplaced passes, you hear the groan go up from the home crowd. Again, that's what El Salvador want. They want to increase the tension and the anxiousness in this building. If they can do that long enough, they feel they can snatch something late. I want Guatemala to start taking ill-advised chances and risks. Something Guatemala have generally avoided doing over these first 32+ minutes. But they've not been able to create a lot in the attack. It's a good combination play in the middle. El Salvador looking confident on the ball when they're able to gain it. Guatemala look to move it the other way. Oh, the impatience from the fans every time they pick up the ball and don't go forward immediately. Escobar, though, a player that likes to do that. He'll pick up the ball in traffic and turn away from that traffic to make sure he maintains possession. Morales. Munoz. Very shifty on the ball, but being stuck to by his defender. All the way back to Hagen. More groans. That's the kind of quick movement they want to see. Didn't quite connect this time with Rubin, but the idea was good. It's one of the first times they've been able to play that kind of incisive line-splitting ball. They need more of that. Gonzalez, see the ball bobbling. Have to be certain as a goalkeeper on a night like this. Here comes Hagen to the edge of his area. Hagen generally so reliable, but he had a really rough game here. Their last match at this venue back in June against the Dominican Republic. They did win that game 4-2, but Hagen was at fault for both goals that they gave away. Spilled another ball late in that game that could have led to a 3rd goal. This one sliced from a long way out. Not sure if that was intended to be a shot. Well, Steven Vasquez has had a couple of them in the early minutes. Apologizes to his teammates for that one. We're into the final 10 of the first half. Flag up for offside. Free kick Guatemala from their own half. These are how these final stage qualifiers often are. See the offside. Gil clearly behind the line when that ball was played. These are how these qualifiers tend to go. Cagey, tense. One moment could define everything. Those groans getting louder with each missed touch. And now a second booking for Guatemala. This time it's Oher Escobar who draws the yellow. That's a bad one from Escobar, standing on the foot of Mauricio Cerritos. And there is VAR in these qualifiers. They're satisfied that a yellow was sufficient there. Another Salvadoran free kick. Long ball toward the top of the 18. Took a deflection, almost reached Brian Gill. Good take out of midair by Cerritos. The flip from Landaverde goes out of play. Hernan Gomez, El Salvador's head coach, not known for having a very rigid tactical system. It's more about emotional leadership and charisma. Luis Tena, who you just saw there, he's known for playing that 4-2-3-1 formation. 4 defenders, 2 defensive midfielders, 3 attacking midfielders, and a striker. But a lot of his work with Guatemala over the last 5 years has been on the mental side as well. He's talked about needing to increase the confidence of Guatemalan players. Feels that they're better than they often give themselves credit for, that they need to believe that they can achieve great things. They can go to a World Cup for the first time. They certainly played with belief at the Gold Cup this summer. But as Tena said in the build-up to this game, qualifying games are totally different from a Gold Cup. This is a free kick for Guatemala. Getting late in this first half. Morales fouled on the touchline. Crowd yelling for a yellow against Jefferson Valladares. They're not going to get it. But they do get the free kick. Just inside that touchline. Santis taking all the set pieces. Floats this one in toward the back stick. Heads going up. Into the middle it goes. Morales up for it. Wins the next one. Overhead attempt. And it's a foul and a free kick for El Salvador. Going for the spectacular. Bodies on the floor. And a stop in play. Head-to-head there. And then the overhead attempt winds up on the head of Jorge Cruz. That was Rubio Rubin. He was trying to score the goal of his life. And he scored some amazing ones. He scored the MLS goal of the year back in 2021, you may remember. Again, born in Oregon, played for the U.S. youth national teams. Actually had 7 caps for the U.S. in various friendlies. First back in 2014 when Jurgen Klinsmann called him up. Made the one-time switch to Guatemala 3 years ago. Told an interviewer earlier this week that he practices the Guatemalan national anthem in his car while he's driving around so that he can sing it well before games like this. If he'd scored that goal with a bicycle kick a moment ago, he would have been even more a forever national hero than he already is. Still could be by the end of the night. Final few minutes of this first half. Guatemalan free kick in the center circle. Henry Romero fouling Rubin. Now on the edge of the box. Shouts for a free kick. It bundles through to the goalkeeper. Referee not interested in anything else. Santis went over. Escobar went over. Escobar still asking why not. Well, Salvador might have something on here. Through the lines they come, and into the box they come. By the end line, pulled across the face, and it's stabbed away crucially. Best look for El Salvador in this first half. Guatemala looked to go the other direction, but the handball called against Rubin and play stopped. Well, Jefferson Valladares had broken in, and he was trying to cut it back for Gil, but Nicholas Hagen sticking out that right leg. And then he had his teammate behind him, Aaron Herrera, to make sure Gil didn't get there. Now foul against El Salvador, and card coming out. This is Valladares who goes into the book next. So 3 players on yellows for El Salvador now. Well, Valladares saying he got the ball, but he does go in high. Just because you get the ball doesn't mean it's not a foul. Diagonal ball forward. Final 90 seconds of the opening 45. We'll see how much stoppage time in just a moment. Here's Herrera, though, trying to split that packed defense with that through ball. Munoz has been very bright in this first half. Earns a free kick. Being told there will be an additional 4 minutes at the end of this first half. So still time for either side to find a breakthrough before the break. Just more good close control from Munoz. Shown good stuff on the ball in this frantic first half. Now Brian Gill getting involved with Jonathan Franco. Referee telling Gill to get his hand off him. Those final minutes of a half, always so critical. A goal before halftime would totally change the feel, the tenor, the complexion of this game. We are into those additional 4 minutes. Goal before half would completely change the way these two teams line up strategically in the second half. If Guatemala were to grab it, it would force El Salvador to come out and attack more. If El Salvador find a way to score first, atmosphere in here would become even more nervous, tense, even negative. It's a good ball down the right, though, for Rubin. Guatemala hoping to make that first goal theirs. Herrera. Square for Munoz. Munoz wanted to have a hit, didn't have the space, closed down well, but stays on it tenaciously, wins it back, tried to thread it through and could not. Falls to Herrera instead, keeps it alive. Back heel from Escobar was clever. It's going to fall for Rubin. And Rubin, stutter step, but stuck to doggedly and beautifully. And tackled out for a throw. Mario Gonzalez hasn't had a ton to do in this first half, especially in terms of saves that he's had to make. Guatemala will be disappointed about that. Castellanos. Herrera trying to swing in across, takes a deflection, it's a goal kick. Crowd was claiming a corner. None of the Guatemalan players were, though. They appeared to agree. Halfway through those additional 4 minutes. Bit of space for Guatemala now. On the counter, slaloming through is Santis. Now the blue shirts catching up and forcing him to turn back. Looks to pick somebody out and does. That someone was Castellanos, and he floats it into the middle. Good header clear. Still might fall into the edge of the area for Morales, and then hit toward the top of the box and struck just over the bar under the roof of the net. It was deflected. It will be a corner as we approach the final minute of this first half. Rubio Rubin not far away. This was a frantic sequence. It was opportunistic. It was Escobar actually turned and hit it first time. Last chance of the first half, probably. Santis taking the corner and swings it on top of goal. Morales dropped it once, able to pick it back up. Launches it long. This has to be dealt with, and is by Guatemala. And it'll be a free kick as well. Diego Flores involved for El Salvador. Escapes further action. Is there time for one more attack? Had the 4 minutes. Referee blows for halftime. Juan Calderon points to the center circle. 45 minutes gone in this final round qualifier in Concacaf. It's about what you'd expect in a game of this magnitude. Tense, tight, cagey, nobody wanting to make that fatal mistake. El Salvador would be happy with a draw. Guatemala definitely would not. So it's El Salvador who will be the happier at halftime. Midway through this one in Guatemala City, it is Guatemala 0, El Salvador 0 on the road to FIFA World Cup 2026. Highlights from our opening 45 minutes in this opening match of Group A and the final round of Concacaf FIFA World Cup qualifiers for 2026. First of 6 games to determine a group winner and a bid to next year's FIFA World Cup. El Salvador, Guatemala, Guatemala and El Salvador here in Guatemala City. El Salvador began the game pretty well in the first few minutes. Actually had a couple half chances. Guatemala, though, as expected, had most of the ball, most of the attacking impetus, although they weren't able to make a lot of it. El Salvador defended very well. There were some bright moments here and there for Guatemala, many of them coming through the 20-year-old Rudy Munoz, who was able to set up a teammate in the box. And the spin and hit from Olher Escobar almost reached Rubio Rubin on the back post. It was a crucial block by Jorge Cruz, the center back. Then this cross bounced all the way through, might have wrapped inside that far post. It did appear it was spinning maybe just wide. Goalkeeper Mario Gonzalez couldn't take a chance, stretched out well to get a fingertip to it and make sure that it went wide. But Guatemala, again, didn't create much that was clear-cut. They had a spectacular effort here on the overhead attempt by Rubin, but it only succeeded in making contact with the face of Jorge Cruz. It was good work to keep it alive by Jose Morales, but just resulted in a free kick for El Salvador. And El Salvador had their best chance late on in the first half. Valladares broke into the box, tried to square it across the face. Hagen got something on it with his right leg. And then his center back, Nicolas Samayoa, actually it was Aaron Herrera who cut in from that right back spot. It was really good covering from the right back as well. He was able to get the block in. And then really the closest that they came late in the first half, Guatemala, this spin and quick shot from Olher Escobar that spun just over the top. And so 0-0 at halftime. Everything still to play for in the second half then. Our first half numbers, 4 shots either way, just 1 on target. That was for Guatemala. A lot of fouls, 3 cards for El Salvador, 2 for Guatemala. Something to keep in mind in that second half. Guatemala 2/3 of the ball, 67%. They'll feel they need to do more productive with it in the second half. El Salvador will be pleased with how they were able to defend. They'll hope to create a bit more on the counterattack as well. Fascinatingly set up for our second 45. Crucial 3 points either way if somebody can find the back of the net. We'll be back for that second half in just a moment. It is 0-0 at the break. Back for the second half in Guatemala City. 0-0 between Guatemala and El Salvador. And the opening game in Group A for both these sides in this final round of Concacaf FIFA World Cup qualifying for 2026. El Salvador are going to make a change coming out of halftime. They will bring on Brian Tamacas. They're also going to bring on Nathan Ordaz, young star for LAFC. In fact, it's a triple change. In addition, Marcelo Diaz is going to come on. So El Salvador, we said going into halftime, they would probably be the happier of the two sides. They came in satisfied to play for a draw, it seems. They've taken off Valladares, who's on a yellow. They're also taking off Darwin Suren, who is also on a yellow. And they removed Brian Gill, one of their two strikers, which is a bit surprising. Well, Ordaz, there were a lot of eyebrows raised in the Salvadoran media and fan base that he didn't start this game when the lineups were announced about an hour before kickoff. Ordaz has become a key member of this team in just a handful of appearances for them. Born in Los Angeles, brought up through the LAFC youth ranks. He was eligible to play for either the U.S. or Mexico or Guatemala. His mother is from El Salvador, and he has chosen Guatemala. And we'll see if he can liven up their attack in the second half. We're back underway. Guatemala in the white, El Salvador in the blue. It's Guatemala from right to left. From left to right, that is, in this second 45. Header back from Aaron Herrera, not what he intended. And he then has to put it out of play, so not a confident start to this second half. And Ordaz immediately sprays it into the box. It's a good header away, and it had to be from Nicolas Samayoa. Cross comes right back in. Samayoa takes a deflection off his own man. Very shaky second half start for Guatemala. Now they draw a foul and a free kick. We mentioned it a couple times in the first half. You see Herrera taking the contact from Mauricio Cerritos. Talking about nerves and mentality for this Guatemala side. Guatemalans will get tired of hearing about it, of course, but the fact that they've never succeeded in qualifying for a World Cup, it is such a collective weight on this national team, on this fan base, on this nation. And you can feel that weight getting heavier on nights like this as the game goes on at 0-0. As the attack fails to spark, those chances fail to materialize. Passes aren't completed. So Guatemala in need of positivity. Fans started finding their seats in this stadium over 3 hours before kickoff. They started filling up the central square in Guatemala City early this afternoon for the big watch party that's being hosted in the middle of town. So much anticipation for this game. Shots for handball there, not given by Juan Calderon. Guatemala able to win that loose ball, though. Here's Herrera. Bad first touch. It's notable how much more confident Guatemala looked at the Gold Cup this summer, playing in the U.S. One of those vociferous Guatemalan diaspora crowds that turned out in such numbers at all those Gold Cup games. This is a corner for Guatemala. They're first of the second half. That lifts this crowd for now. Oscar Santis took all their set pieces in the first half. Fairly quiet first 45 for him otherwise. Santis, low ball, bounces all the way through. Not well defended. Tracked by Morales. Switches onto his left, then delivers the cross to the back post. Big shouts for a penalty. Hands go up. Referee Juan Calderon Just lets things go on. Cross appeared to be a bit high. I'm not sure Oscar Santis was getting to it either way. Jorge Cruz, the player involved for El Salvador. One goal either way changes everything for these two sides. Ordaz, there's that incisive ball that he can play. Next ball, not good though, from Steven Vasquez. Ordaz doesn't have a goal yet for El Salvador. He had a key assist in their draw against Suriname in their last game of the second round. That was the draw that they needed to get in that last game of the last round to get through to this final round, to be able to play here tonight. Ordaz, such a big recruitment for El Salvador. Getting him to commit to play in blue. Here's Guatemala though. Edge of the area, on the left foot. Escobar trying to lay it off. Couldn't quite get it through those two defenders in front. Plays it centrally though. Munoz trying to connect with that triangle at the top of the area. Over 5 minutes into the second half. Guatemala trying to crank up the pressure and the momentum. Herrera, good ball into space. Salvador with the throw. These are the games he was brought here for, Luis Tena. Hired in November of 2021. He's gotten them to this final round of qualifiers, but they've been to this final round a few times before. It's getting beyond here that's been the problem. And now they have to defend an El Salvador counter, and Ordaz is onto it on this right side. Looks to pull it across the face, and it's punched away. Second ball still alive, hammered right off a defender. That was Morales who got the block in. That's the danger Ordaz poses, though, when he's able to be found. He was not the second time. In the first of 6 qualifying games in this final round for each of these teams. 12 Concacaf nations qualified for this final round. 3 spots available to the 3 group winners. Teams drawn into 3 groups of 4. You have to win your group outright to punch your ticket to the World Cup. Now there are those 2 best second place finished wildcard spots available for the Interconfederation playoff, which will be played next March. So you get drawn against one of the playoff teams from one of the other regions. So CONCACAF will have at least 6 representatives at the World Cup. Remember, the United States, Mexico, Canada automatically qualified as host nations. 3 more will come out of this final qualifying round over the next 2 months, possibly 2 more. Those 2 second place finishers win their playoff round next March. This goes to the top of the area and isn't commanded by Rudy Munoz, and it spins out for a goal kick. So obviously the simplest path to the World Cup is just win your group, which is of course easier said than done, especially in this group with Panama in it, who are the clear favorites. But they were held to a draw, remember, earlier tonight in Suriname, in Paramaribo. Suriname had some good chances to win that game late as well. And so it's such an opportunity for both these teams. If they could take all 3 points tonight, to take full advantage of that draw, and go to the top of this group early on. Saw Guatemala getting ready to make a change. Looks as though Pedro Altan will come on. He's an attacking midfielder, very creative. Kind of player that's needed in a game like this. Space and creativity have been at a premium. Oh, turned over in the middle of the park. Ordaz wanted it early, and he's onside. And this is 2v1 perhaps. Ordaz trying to pick that next ball. He does. It's Vasquez. Not nearly on frame. Guatemala got caught. We talked in the first half about them being cautious with the ball. That was why. They didn't want to turn it over in the middle of the park and give El Salvador the chance to break on those dangerous transition moments. That's where you can get opened up. Guatemala nearly were there. Pinged forward, chested down. Escobar, great touch, he's into the area. Escobar's next touch. And one more defender he had to get around and couldn't do it. We're 10 minutes into the second half and Ordaz is in tons of space. He has an overlapper down that right side and tries to use him, but that run had been stopped and the ball's out of play. Herrera rakes it down the line. Won't stay in for Santis. Here comes a double change for Guatemala. Altan comes on for Oher Escobar. Escobar is just 18. His father moved to the U.S. to pursue soccer. Now his son repping Guatemala in a nice full circle moment. He's replaced by the attacking midfielder Altan. Archimedes Ordonez also comes on for Rudy Munoz. Archimedes Ordonez. He was born in Cincinnati. His dad saw that name in an algebra textbook and liked it. Ordonez currently playing in the USL with Loudoun United. Ordonez had the assist for Guatemala in the Gold Cup semifinal against the United States. Got them back in that game late. Eventually lost 2-1. But hoping to have a similar kind of impact tonight. It's good persistence from the deck to win that ball. Keeps this attack alive for Guatemala. Thunked into the box and toward the penalty spot. Claiming head contact there, claiming a penalty. Nothing going to be given. Ordaz the other way for El Salvador. Doesn't have a lot of support. He's very good at operating without it, though. And he plays it infield for Vasquez, and he threads it into the box. And the flag has stayed down, and it's into the side netting. And now the flag does go up for offside. With VAR in play, assistant referees are instructed to wait to raise the flag until the play is completed, of course. And so that's why the flag didn't go up initially on Mauricio Cerritos, even though he was, as you could see on the replay there, about 5 steps offside when the ball was played. But you have to make sure as an official in that spot, because if you get it wrong and you raise the flag and blow the play dead too soon, you can take away the chance for the goal to be given on review. So it can frustrate players and fans and coaches sometimes, but there's a good reason they do it that way. Nicholas Hagen has to play this with his head. And Vasquez closing him down if he got that wrong. Second ball mopped up by Guatemala, though. Able to win that next loose ball as well. And it's helped into the path of Santis, and Santis is crossed to the back stick, and it's headed away, spinning toward that end line. And then comes off a Salvadoran player for a Guatemalan throw. And the frustration from the crowd is for the Salvadoran player claiming a cramp. Julio Cibrian doing so. Again, El Salvador, the way they set up for this game, the way they've played in general, you can tell they would be satisfied with a point. They go back home on Monday to play Suriname. That's where they will feel they need to take 3 points. This is swept into the area and an easy take for Gonzalez. .60 minutes played, 30 to go. Is there a winner in this one? Down the line it goes for Herrera. First time cross blocked. Flores was in the way, heaved into the box, repelled there by a man in blue. Herrera again. Another cross, this one. Miss hit comes to the top of the area and swung over the bar. Ambitious from about 25 by Jose Morales, who had that unmarked header from a corner about 20 minutes in. It's been one of the better chances of the night thus far for Guatemala. El Salvador will bring on Harold Osorio in place of Brian Landaverde. Osorio, just 22. He's an attacking midfielder. Regarded by many as one of the best Central American talents to emerge from that region in recent years. He plays for Chicago Fire in Major League Soccer. Hasn't scored yet for El Salvador. Be an amazing night from their perspective, certainly from his perspective, to get his first. Ordaz trying to turn with it, lost it in the process. Ordaz spreading it intelligently for Flores. Laid back to Ordaz, wants to have a hit and does. Didn't catch it cleanly. You can tell these fans are doing everything they can to try to keep it positive, try to keep the mood up, trying to stay behind their team. Even as their anxiety, their yearning for a goal grows. Santis blocked out. Which side of the flag? It's just a throw. Is it now? Apparently a corner's been given. I thought the assistant referee was pointing for a throw. It is a corner. So Santis to take again. Santis, out swinging ball. Played it to a good area, that 6-yard box. Ordaz picking up the loose one. Does really well. That's a sublime ball. Shouts for handball. Not given. Leads to a chaotic sequence and leads to a Guatemalan throw. Altan, can he create some magic on the ball? That's why they've brought him on. They're looking for him to do that. That's a good little ball. Bit of space. And from a long way out, that may have taken a deflection. Grabbed by Gonzalez. Not sure if that was quite on goal or not. From Oscar Castellanos, who's generally a defensive midfielder. Sits back and shields the back line most of the time. But in a game like this, he'll get forward a bit more. Great touch. Absolutely world class from Herrera. Allowing him to continue forward and link up with a teammate, getting turned. Again, the touch just too heavy. That's happened to Guatemala a number of times tonight in that attacking third. Here's Morales. His touch was heavy as well. He wanted a free kick at the end of that. Tumbling all over the pitch. On we go. Referee letting it go the whole way, and it's played into the box, and a good chance. It was blocked and kept in by Gonzalez, who's able to catch and calm. Although he then plays it quickly to no one in particular. I don't think his teammates are too happy about that. Very experienced goalkeeper. A spot like this, you really want to take your time, you would think. Instead, Guatemala can come back at them, and this crowd getting themselves up again. Into the box it goes, missed by the first defender, not by the second. Santis hit it first time, it's blocked. They've been able to block those crosses really effectively tonight, those Salvadoran fullbacks. They've stayed glued to those Guatemalan wingers, not allowed them to whip those dangerous balls into the area very much. By the end line, Santis wins a corner. It's all boiling up in Guatemala City. Different taker this time. It's Altan with the left on top of goal, defended at the near post. Not cleared yet. By the 6-yard line, it deflects out, and it's a goal kick now. May have come off Jonathan Franco last. The delivery was good. Put El Salvador under pressure. Initial clearance was not convincing. We're into the final quarter of this qualifier. Such a massive difference between, say, a 0-0 draw where both teams take 1 point. If that were the case, it would mean that all 4 teams in Group A would be level on 1 point through the opening round of games tonight, after Suriname and Panama played to a draw earlier. But if one of these sides grabs a winner in this final quarter of this game, all of a sudden one team's on 3, the other's on none. That is at the risk of being blatantly obvious. Such a huge difference. Even though it's just the first of 6 games in this final group qualifying stage, if you dig yourself an early hole, it is so tough to get out of in a format like this. And again, with Guatemala playing their next 3 games all away from home in tough environments, they and their fans felt it was so paramount coming into tonight that they get the win, not settle for a draw. And so they might feel compelled to take more chances late on in this game, which of course might open up more chances for El Salvador on the counterattack. The risk, the jeopardy, the tension keeps getting higher. Herrera, edge of the box. Santis trying to find some space, swings it toward goal. It's going to land on top and actually fly right over. He's had a tough night, Santis. He's been defended very well. He's been in great goal-scoring form for Guatemala this year, but El Salvador have been able to force him wide all night, and Santis hasn't been able to deliver much from those wide areas. And Luis Tena trying to solve the equation on the Guatemalan touchline. Fans, of course, accusing Julio Cibrian of time wasting. Doesn't necessarily mean he is, but that's the perception. And a healthy contingent of Salvadoran fans have made the journey. They've seen their team defend very well. They've done what they've set out to do so far, El Salvador. Again, he's a master of games like these. Hernan Gomez, El Salvador's head coach. He's one of only 2 coaches in history to have guided 3 different nations to the World Cup finals through the qualifying rounds. Colombia in 1998, Ecuador, he got them there in 2002, and then Panama. He qualified them for the first time ever in 2018. Now he's trying to do it with a 4th nation, which would put him in even more rarefied air. We talked about it in the first few minutes. He has said publicly, in qualifying, really doesn't matter how you play. You qualify with points, not with nice football. That's been the attitude so far tonight from El Salvador. Not aesthetically pleasing, but effective over 71 minutes. Could still get better. Here's Herrera, though, for Guatemala. El Salvador backing off, then a right-footed effort, spins off a deflection, should be a corner. And it is. El Salvador getting ready to make what should be their last change of the night. Ronald Gomez Rodriguez is set to come on for Julio Cibrian. They might wait till after they defend this corner, though. So often you don't want to make a change when you're about to defend a set piece. And again, there's frustration amongst the home team and fans over another Salvadoran player on the deck. That's Mauricio Cerritos. So the stretcher is out for Cerritos, which of course means that El Salvador will have to defend this corner with 10, because Cerritos is going to have to stay off the pitch for at least a handful of seconds once they get him to the touchline. So could Guatemala take advantage of that temporary man advantage? Tends to be less of a factor from set pieces where everybody's defending anyway. But the outswinging ball is a great delivery, punched away by the goalkeeper. Big stop by Gonzalez, his best of the night. And now a foul against Guatemala. Mario Gonzalez denying the home side for now. It was a great ball from Santis and a free header from 6 yards out by Jonathan Franco. Wasn't able to guide it either side of the goalkeeper. Pretty central in the end, and not as much power on it as it initially looked. Still not necessarily a simple save. Gonzalez still had to react. Franco will feel he should have done better, but now there's space again for Guatemala. Things starting to open up as we get late in this game. Then the tackle was made, and the attack shut down. Santis. Again. Good header clear. Coming up on the final 15 of the 90. Altan. Morales presenting himself wide left. Doesn't get it for now. Instead it comes to this right side for Herrera. Herrera with a blue shirt in his face every time he receives it on the wings. That's been the case all night. Herrera plays it infield. Santis, the underlapping run is decent. Santis again. Now whips in the cross. Free header off the line. Goalkeeper with another big save. Mario Gonzalez in the way again. And Ordaz the other way for El Salvador. He just has one in support to his left. Nathan Ordaz tricky on the ball. White shirt streaming back. Ordaz cuts in centrally and then takes the trip. Wins the free kick. On a dangerous set piece coming up for the visitors. Best chance of the night for Guatemala again. And again, it was Morales ghosting in at the back post, just like he did from a corner in the first half for a completely unmarked header. But again, it's more or less right at the keeper. Still an awkward bounce for Gonzalez. Still a very good save. Morales twice has had those chances tonight. 2 changes coming for Guatemala here. Guatemala will bring on Nathaniel Mendez-Lang and Darwin Lom for these final 14 minutes plus stoppage time. Now they might wait until after they defend this set piece, just as El Salvador did a moment ago. Nicholas Hagen has traffic to direct here. Henry Romero over this. Romero into the wall. Second ball kept alive by Ordaz. Salvador with a little attacking impetus in these final 13 minutes. Ordaz makes the underlapping run, and it's put out. This will be an El Salvador corner. This is their first of the night. Nathan Ordaz in no great rush to take it. Being told to be in a slightly greater rush by referee Juan Calderon. So Guatemala have not had to defend one of these tonight. They have to get it right, of course. Ordaz will take it himself. With the left foot, swinging it in, comes all the way through, and they score! A Salvadoran silencer in Guatemala City. They go crazy in the corner in blue. And they've left Guatemala blue with 12 minutes to go. The delivery was exquisite, and the finish was perfect with the left boot. Harold Osorio off the bench in the second half, had a man draped all over him, and now has draped himself in glory for his national side, for his nation. And they might steal all 3 points in Guatemala tonight. I told you they call him one of the best talents Central America has produced in recent years. And he just produced one of El Salvador's biggest moments in recent decades. And now the mood in Guatemala City is somber. And the situation, even though it's only the opening game of this last qualifying round, feels a bit desperate for Guatemala. For Hernan Gomez in El Salvador, it's a dream. And their World Cup dream suddenly very, very much alive. Well, you can see their mood. You can understand why. We're into the final 10 minutes. And if El Salvador were happy to hold out for 78 of those 90 minutes, they'll be even happier to defend now. They score from their first corner of the night. Now for Guatemala, as this is not going to work out, and it runs out for a goal kick. For Guatemala to at least grab an equalizer and a share of the points tonight, even though that would have been a very disappointing result at the beginning of the night, now it becomes an imperative. To take nothing from this game would be devastating for them. Again, we've said it a couple times, but if you're just joining us, Guatemala, their next 3 games in this group stage, in this final group qualifying stage, all away from home. So they won't be back home until November for the last 2 games of this stage. And again, by that point, they could be totally out of contention. The second game of this window, they have to go to group favorites Panama on Tuesday. Herrera ridden off it by 2 defenders. Diego Flores clearly cramping, has to pull up and leave it for a teammate. El Salvador want the game stopped. Juan Calderon not going to do so. Oh, now he does, and Guatemala are furious. I'm sure they're saying, wait a minute, if it's not a potential head injury, why is the game being stopped? Here's the moment again, Ordaz, it's such a great delivery. That's the quality he brings. That's why El Salvador were so over the moon when they successfully recruited him to join the Salvadoran national team a handful of months ago. Again, he's a tri-national. His mother from El Salvador, his father from Mexico. He was born in Los Angeles, so he could have played for any of those 3 nations. He chose La Selecta. He chose the Azul y Blanco. And his assist has them in line for 3 massive points here tonight, unless That's a good ball to the edge of the area. Guatemala seeking an equalizer, and it's deflected wide. And apparently not off a defender, it's just a goal kick. Shirt to mouth for Archimedes Ordonez, that is. Got it onto his right foot. Yeah, he just scuffed it. I thought it had taken a flick off Marcelo Diaz, but it was just a mishit. Guatemala desperate. That's a great run forward, splitting lines, laying it off on the right foot, trying to dance through a wall of blue and just not quite able to do so. Everybody back to defend for El Salvador. Normally a forward, normally an attacker. Too bad. Not what we're doing right now, they're saying. And they couldn't care less. If they can keep the 0, if they can keep their 1, if they can keep all 3 points tonight. Here comes the cross, though, toward the back stick, and the overhead attempt swung on and missed. And it's back with Morales, plays it infield. Archimedes still around 3. Archimedes blazes it over. And it might be painfully obvious to point out, but unfortunately for Guatemala, Archimedes couldn't get his angles quite right. It's a great attempt, just trying to maneuver around the wall as best he could, and he did pretty well. Just couldn't wrap his foot around it in the end. Jose Pinto, long-serving captain for Guatemala, advancing it for Herrera. It's going to spin out for a throw. Less than 4 minutes of the 90 remaining. A lot of substitutions, of course, in this second half. Probably will be a decent amount of stoppage time. Probably not enough for Guatemala's liking. It's good control. Oh, the touches were excellent initially, but then the layoff was too heavy. Protected and shielded well by Osorio, the goal scorer, but then he lost it. What might this lead to for Guatemala? Splitting the lines again, looking for a free kick. Referee blows the whistle and awards the free kick to Pedro Altan and to Guatemala with 3 minutes to go. There's the kind of creativity and elusiveness on the ball that Guatemala have been desperate for all night. They've not had nearly enough of it. Altan was able to provide a little moment of it there to set up this attacking set piece. Now can they make something from it? Mario Gonzalez trying to ensure they don't. Aaron Herrera, from Las Cruces, New Mexico, born to a Guatemalan father. Came up with Real Salt Lake in MLS, then Montreal, now DC United, an all-star in MLS last year. It is Aaron Herrera over the bar. Not that far over, but not quite good enough. And that sums up Guatemala's night so far. 90 seconds of the 90 remaining. How far beyond that, we'll see from fourth official Steven Madrigal in just a little bit. It is El Salvador in line for 3 vitally precious points as things stand. Guatemala throw, they're in a hurry. Can they create one chance? Can they find a goal to at least snatch a draw tonight and avoid total disaster? Oh, it's turned over instead. And here goes Nathan Ordaz, and he's motored around one. And Ordaz is on the loose. He might just take it to the corner. That's exactly what he'll look to do. Tried to then turn the corner and could not. We tick past 90 minutes into second half stoppage time, of which there will be 7 minutes, says Steven Madrigal. Still time for Guatemala to rescue something tonight. They've not created much. But as El Salvador showed, it just takes a moment. They have it on the left. Archimedes Ordonez chips it into the box. Taken with back to goal by Mendez Lang. Experienced center back. They need his experience to show now. Back into the box it goes. One shot blocked, second attempt, big save again by Gonzalez. It's out for a corner, nearly so much more for Guatemala. Wonderful turn and hit on the swivel. It's a great connection, and Gonzalez claws it away at that bottom right corner. And that was sneaking in too. Corner taken by Castellanos toward the near post. Flicked away twice. Kept alive though by Ordonez. Recycled to the angle. Whipped in with the left, but way overhit. And the body language says it all for Guatemala. El Salvador have not been in a World Cup since 1982. They hope this is the year they'll get back. This is threaded through. Steven Vasquez. They look for the second. Comes to the top of the box. Harold Osorio already has their goal tonight. And Osorio into the middle. Osorio just wide. Could have settled it right there. And he'll probably feel he should have. He did all the hard work. Looked like he was just going to try to kill it in the corner, and suddenly he wriggled through and it opened up. And he wasn't able to bury it. Now the header is won, and it's shielded off and kept alive. And there's still time for Guatemala, and into the middle it goes, but over everyone and out. Goal kick. And there are only 4 minutes remaining. Well, he's always calm, Luis Tena, but inside he'll be churning. He knows what a blow this would be if it stays like this. And they wouldn't be out of it, but they'd be facing a pretty tough hill. 3 away games coming up. At Panama next on Tuesday. could be staring down the barrel of no points from their first 2 games. If Panama do what they'll be favored to do and win that. And that would leave you with a really tough climb. Pinto, though. Herrera. Slaloming inside. All those blue shirts in front of him, though. Morales, who's had 2 great chances with his head, lifts it desperately to the back post. It's flicked out of play. It's a corner. It's Herrera to take. Guatemala's need is desperate. Outswinger to the back stick. They won the first contact. Shouts for handball. Then it spins out of play. It'll be another corner. Referee only pointing for a corner right now. VAR will take a look, of course. And you can see Juan Calderon telling them to hold up. Make sure the VAR check can take place, but now he's signaled for play to go ahead. So the check has been complete. No handball. 2 minutes to go. Corner from Herrera. Flicked away. El Salvador, anywhere will do. It's lifted out by the midfield. Nicholas Hagen, the goalkeeper, starting to wander up the pitch. Might as well at this point. Whipped in by Morales. Good ball, too, and it's headed wide. The chance was there. Not necessarily an easy one for Nathaniel Mendez-Lang and for Jose Pinto. Well, this was the handball shout. No. Just hits the player's back and goes out. So you can see why that was quickly checked and cleared. And El Salvador are nearly clear. They are about to run right out of Guatemala City with 3 pilfered points. Thanks to that goal from a corner by Harold Osorio. Whipped in beautifully by Nathan Ordaz. Unless Guatemala snatch something at the death. This will be shielded out. It's a goal kick. That might get El Salvador across the line. Mario Gonzalez will take all the seconds he's allowed to and kick it as far down the pitch as he can. All eyes to Juan Calderon, the center referee. Is there time for one more attack for Guatemala? Has to go forward. It's over. Sensational result for El Salvador. La Selecta shine in hostile surroundings and give their dreams of reaching a first FIFA World Cup in 44 years an enormous boost. And they deal a big blow to Guatemala's hopes of ending a century of qualifying pain. El Salvador take 3 precious points back to San Salvador in the opener of this final qualifying round. The goal by Harold Osorio sends those traveling fans home delighted. It finishes tonight in Guatemala City. El Salvador 1, Guatemala 0. Well, 90 tense and dramatic minutes, that we expected. But El Salvador taking all 3 points tonight, as we'll see the full highlights from these 90 minutes this evening in Guatemala City. Guatemala felt that a win was imperative coming in. They'll feel that they didn't do enough over the 90 minutes, didn't create enough. This cross nearly fooled everyone for El Salvador. Mario Gonzalez able to tip it wide to make sure it didn't sneak inside that far post. Just before halftime, El Salvador had probably their best moment of the first half. They played it across the face of goal. It was just defended away by Nicolas Samayoa and by Aaron Herrera. And so it stayed goalless into the break. There were a couple opportunities here and there for Guatemala. Again, not enough from their standpoint. That was the closest they came in the first half. Olher Escobar quickly swiveling and hitting. It was deflected onto the roof of the net. In the second half, Guatemala continued to press for that opening goal, but El Salvador grew more dangerous on the break, especially after the introduction of Nathan Ordaz, who many Salvadoran fans were surprised and disappointed that he didn't start this game, but he certainly made an impact in the second half off the bench. As Guatemala continued to struggle to break down El Salvador's defense, they started to come close from a couple set pieces. This was a header that forced a save out of Mario Gonzalez. And then later, a great delivery to the back post and an unmarked header for Jose Morales, but again, wasn't able to guide it either side of the goalkeeper. Then the moment arrived for El Salvador, their first corner of the night. Ordaz swung it in deliciously with the left foot and finished with the outside of the left by Harold Osorio. Defender on his back, didn't matter. It was in the back of the net, and Osorio produced a moment he'll never forget, and a moment that might prove to be huge if El Salvador make their first World Cup in 44 years over the next couple months. That has certainly set them on the path. Archimedes Ordonez had a good chance in the final 10 minutes, able to maneuver around 2 and 3 and 4, but then not able to find the net, and that was just the story of the night. Good save laid on from Mario Gonzalez as well. Guatemala were desperate. They created a couple half chances. Not quite enough. There was also a chance to settle it late on for Osorio, who could have had a second. Didn't matter. El Salvador's night as they take it all on the road tonight. Final numbers from this one, 19 shots for Guatemala, but again, not enough quality on those shots, only 5 on target. 72% of the ball, doesn't matter. El Salvador got it done. And find the goal, find the results. They'll be at home to Suriname on Monday night. For our entire great production team, I'm Donnie Barnes. Good night from Guatemala City, where it finished tonight on the road to FIFA World Cup 2026. El Salvador 1, Guatemala 0.